Among the people, the Forbidden City is like a mysterious treasure trove filled with countless ghostly legends. Among the legends, the ghostly figure of a palace maid under the red walls is the most spine-chilling. This began with the renovation of the Forbidden City in the 1980s. At that time, the Western Six palaces were undergoing intense wooden structure restoration, and my father, a skilled carpenter, was involved. They were chosen to join and stayed in temporary sheds inside the palace. It felt peculiar, as if they merged with the ancient Forbidden City, yet also seemed isolated by an unseen force. Nights there were eerily quiet, a silence so deep it felt like it could devour one's soul. Every night, even the sound of life seemed to be absorbed by the palace walls, disappearing without a trace. Only the cold moonlight on the glazed tiles remained, like frozen frost, exuding a slight chill. It was one night in August, when thunder rumbled across the sky above the Forbidden City. Father and his co-workers laid mats on the floor in the side shop, while rain hit the glazed tiles, making a crackling sound. Father suddenly recalled the cement at the construction site and worried it might get ruined by the rain. After hesitating a moment, he gritted his teeth, put on a raincoat, and went outside. On a rainy autumn night, the Forbidden City seemed like a vast, dead city. The flashlight beam in my father's hand hit the red walls, reflecting a worried glow. That light cast his shadow in a twisted way, making it look like a stretched ghost, which was quite scary. When my father got to the material storage, he found that a piece of tarpaulin had indeed been lifted by the wind. He hunched over and started retying the tarpaulin. Just then, from the corner of his eye, he saw several white figures flash at the corridor's end. His initial reaction was one of professional fairness, so he straightened himself up to greet them. However, when he saw those figures clearly, he became completely frozen. The figures were slowly moving along the base of the wall. They were dressed in moon-white blouses and blue satin skirts with traditional headdresses. This is clearly the attire of palace maids from the previous dynasty. Father opened his mouth. Tongji, you have painted to the throat, yet you cannot say a word. The palace maids moved very slowly, their skirts trailing on the ground, yet strangely, they made no sound as they swept across the surface. The large raindrops fell on them, as if into a void, leaving no trace of moisture. What was even more eerie was that they kept their heads lowered, their figures shrouded in shadow, with only a strikingly red button on their chins visible in the rainy night. The father instinctively gripped the flashlight tighter. His heartbeat quickened, and a mix of curiosity and fear intertwined in his heart. He took a few steps forward, only to see the leading palace maid walk to the corner, and then it suddenly walked straight to the red wall. Father widened his eyes, watching helplessly as that white figure hit the wall. They vanished as if dissolving into golden mist. Subsequently, several more palace maids walked into the wall one after another. As the last maid turned, my father caught a glimpse of her pale profile, with her mouth splitting into a bloody crack, revealing a yellowed fang. This sight sent shivers down my father's spine. His shirt beneath the raincoat was already thoroughly soaked with cold sweat. He frantically scrambled back behind the large pile of lumber, not daring to breathe heavily, his entire body trembling uncontrollably. His eyes remained fixed on that ominous wall, as if at any moment those terrifying maidens might emerge once again. And so he remained hidden behind the lumber pile for an extended period of time. Until the rain stopped and the east began to lighten with the first signs of dawn, he finally mustered the courage to cautiously approach and examine the wall. It was a tightly fitted blue brick wall, without even a finger-width gap. As his fingertip brushed against the wall, the old saying about ghost soldiers borrowing the way suddenly came to his mind. A shiver of goosebumps crawled up his neck. By the time he returned to the shed, his complexion remained ashen. His roommate, Old Song, noticed his condition and asked with concern what had transpired. After a moment's hesitation, he decided to recount to Old Song everything he had witnessed. Old Song listened attentively for a considerable time before eventually responding. I saw a man in a traditional Chinese jacket sipping tea under the corridor while fixing the beams at Jingren Palace 2 years ago. Lao Song's words startled my dad, revealing there were already many rumors among the Forbidden City's restoration team. Some said that in public areas, disturbances often happened. Some people heard cries coming from the well, as if a wronged spirit was telling its story. Others saw the shadow of a lantern flickering by in the alley, as if it came from another world. And inexplicably, at the base of the wall, burnt paper ashes appeared with an indescribable tone. Those palace maids? It's said that during the Guangxu era, the close maid of Consort Zhen, Old Song, spoke in a hushed tone, as if afraid of being overheard by something. Their master was murdered, and they were all strangled and buried beneath that wall in the alleyway. As father listened to Old Song, his eyes involuntarily focused on the shadows in the wrinkles of Old Song's face, and he suddenly recalled that the hems of those maids' skirts were indeed stained with dark red soil, a color that seemed to be soaked in blood. Somehow this matter came to the attention of the Cultural Relics Bureau, and experts came with various instruments to investigate. The final explanation given by the experts was that the palace walls contained ferric oxide, which might record images during thunderstorms and then replay them like a projector on rainy days. My father didn't buy it. He said there was no thunder that night, and when those palace maids turned their heads, there was a clear, living resentment in their eyes. No image could explain that.